Greetings and welcome as you come on in as the broadcast streams. Please type a 14 in the chat if you can see me and hear me, or share some love, send an emoji. I love seeing your emojis, and I love seeing you here every week on SEM Mondays live. You know, I created Source Energy Medicine so that you would have a place, a consistent place to come every week to ask your questions about Source Energy Medicine or questions about health and well-being in general are perfectly fine, but let's keep to self-healing here. So the first part of SEM Mondays is always an open Q&A. We can talk about anything that you'd like to talk about. I have one topic that I want to explore that answers literally dozens and dozens of questions that have come in over the last couple of weeks. And now's the time to talk about all of that. The other thing that I want to share with you today is an opportunity to experience a group energy healing session. And I'll talk a little bit about more about that as we get closer to that. But there's a component within Source Energy Medicine. It's known as the non-material aspect of Source Energy Medicine. It's the same technology that we utilize with our charging labels, and if you use our charging labels on a bottle of water, it's the same technology, right? In so many ways, except it's a lot faster. It's a lot more direct. And I have been doing this group energy healing session as part of SEM Mondays, extended the format pretty radically to be able to support you during this health crisis. And, you know, there are an awful lot of people, I think a large percentage of people around the world who have been waiting for a COVID vaccine. And I hate to break the news, the COVID vaccine is certainly going to be helpful. And I think there's going to be potentially some downside to it. And there are an awful lot of people who will refuse the vaccine. And, you know, for those people who, for whatever reason, they choose to not get vaccinated, to not take this vaccination either now or in the future, you got to figure out a game plan, right? You have to have a way of staying healthy. And that's one of the reasons why I continue to offer this group energy healing session as part of SEM Mondays. And I will continue doing that moving forward as long as it seems to make sense. And then we'll likely go back to a quick 11-minute Q&A, which is how we started SEM Mondays live. So thank you, Marty, for the beautiful tulips and the heart. I appreciate that. Very, very kind of you. So if you're here with me live and you have questions, please type something into the chat. And I'll do my best to bounce back and forth between questions in the chat. And well, today I'm not going to answer anyone's specific question, but I'm going to, again, talk about a topic that's going to answer dozens and dozens of questions, and you likely will benefit from this exchange as well. So if you're ever not able to join me live, you can, if you're inside the Source Energy Medicine Quick Start Guide, the free mini course. I have to stop calling it a free mini course. It's still free, but it's not a mini course. It's really a master class, and it contains everything that's essential to your journey with Source Energy Medicine. The charging label files are there, 16 different video modules. The complete third edition of my book, Heal Thyself, is there in electronic format. A lot of really, really, really super valuable, really essential information and material, all very well organized. There's even a video that walks you through 7 simple steps to get started with Source Energy Medicine. So if you're totally new, in the show notes, if you click I think it says see more in the show notes, you'll see a link to it, and you just click that link, put in your email, and just follow the prompts. It's really, really straightforward. So the thing that I want to talk about today is, more often than not, when I receive an email from someone who has a particular challenge, and sometimes the challenges are severe in nature, right? The prognosis is not very good. There are not very many good, viable treatment options outside of Source Energy Medicine. So the wording in the email or the conversation that I'm having with someone is very, very, very often my with the challenge following, and think about some some challenges that could be potentially life ending, right? Cancer, Parkinson's, MS. I mean, so many things, right? Diabetes, and the list is endless, right? But I want to caution you, right? So to me, there's a difference between accepting responsibility for what is so, but keeping it impersonal. It's just data, right? And I think the really, really, really important thing to point out here is, to a large degree, you did not do much to instigate that challenge. And I'll use me for an example. So me, before Source Energy Medicine, a large majority of the challenges that I experienced were believed to be genetic, right? So I'm not trying to shun the responsibility, because there were a lot of just lifestyle, right? Dietary things, lack of exercise, drinking excessive amounts of alcohol that certainly did not contribute to my health and well-being, but they didn't start to dis-ease either. And from my perspective, I don't blame my parents or my grandparents or my great-grandparents. I point the finger at the subconscious mind. None of us did anything to have a subconscious mind that acts really so out of our best interest, and in fact, like literally in many cases, trying to end our lives. And the key, from my perspective, to all healing is first and foremost to address the subconscious mind, right? But I think there's a big difference between accepting responsibility and ownership, right? So I accept responsibility for a lot of it, but I can't accept responsibility for my subconscious mind, right? Which makes it a little bit easier to know that it wasn't just my poor eating habits and drinking excessive amounts of alcohol and smoking Cuban cigars and no exercise for years on end. And, that went on from, well, not all of that, but I did not really take good care of myself at all from 20 to early 30s. And that's a long time to just abuse my body physically. I do, however, think that a lot of my lifestyle choices were one of the reasons why I was experiencing a lot of things really early on, especially like osteoarthritis and then compounded by rheumatoid arthritis, and a lot of digestive challenges I had were certainly made worse by my lifestyle choices. So I really encourage you that if you're experiencing a significant challenge, to not use the word my before you use the other word. And often I see that also with a lot of cancer survivors, right? When people refer to it, when they say they had my, and then they fill in a particular type of cancer that they had, that in a sense would help to perpetuate it coming back, right? Because that kind of ownership is really sending a message to the universe. It's a very strong, clear message. So anytime you speak the words my, my, or I am, those are some of the most powerful messages that we can send, not only to the universe, but also to program the subconscious mind, regardless of where it's calibrated, right? When it calibrates low, it's our worst nightmare. When it calibrates high, it can be our greatest asset. However, even once the subconscious mind is transformed, I can still talk my way out of healing. I can think my way out of healing by what a lot of people would describe as sloppy thinking, sloppy speaking, and sending the wrong messages to my subconscious mind, sending the wrong messages to my higher self, sending the wrong messages to the source of all creation, and sending all the wrong messages to to the universe in general. And often it is the stories that I tell myself and I tell others that are going to play a big factor in what I experience moment to moment, day to day, and in every aspect of life. So I encourage you to develop a conscious awareness practice of every time you use the word my and every time you use the words I am, because they're very, very powerful. So when you use my, it's really claiming ownership of it, right? It's grasping tightly, at least from the listening to the universe, right? That's mine. Think of like a 2-year-old, right? Or a 3-year-old going through the my phase, right? That's what the universe hears. For adults, that's challenging, right? So think about what the universe thinks when the universe hears that coming from an adult who's experiencing something, right? So no one, I think it's something really, really good to think about. So you don't want to own your challenges, right? Because no one likes to part with what they own, but accepting responsibility for it. But within all of that, accepting responsibility for it, I encourage you to give yourself a break, knowing that the challenges are there to a large degree because of the way your subconscious mind is expressing itself, right? Now, if you are, abusing food or abusing alcohol or not taking care of yourself, not exercising, certainly figuring out what's the most ideal food for you to be able to thrive, not just survive, not just get through the day, not self-medicate, but food that will actually fuel your life so that you can completely, from a place of empowerment, get about the work that the source of all creation created you to do, right? You are here for a unique purpose, and part of that, right? I see the part of the responsibility that I accept is, like, I have this body on loan, and it is a gift from the source of all creation. And I think it's in my best interest, it's wise to treat it like the precious gift that it is, and know that everything that you eat, everything that you drink, everything that you think, everything that you speak, it all matters, right? It all is very important. And I think one of the challenging things with like food and alcohol or drugs is most of the time it's not like eat a meal and have a heart attack, right? It's more like eating 3 or 4 or 500 bad meals, or countless years of bad meals strung together before the heart attack or before the heart dis-ease sets in, right? Or diabetes begins. And alcohol, few people die from binge drinking, one day or one night. It happens for sure. It happens in fraternities and sororities every year. And that's, I think, an extreme case, right? But for most people, if they have a glass or two of wine or even a couple of shots of some strong alcohol, they're not likely going to die. And on one hand, it's awesome. And on the other hand, the cause and effect relationship between those two, I think if it were more severe, we take better care of ourselves, right? So for most people, they lay on the couch for the most of the next day and, and they're kind of back at it. So I think the cause and effect relationship with food and alcohol and drugs, if it were heightened, I think we'd make better choices, right? More wise choices rather than, I look at myself and I really have to go into my teenage years, which some of it I was responsible for, some I wasn't, living in my parents' house. But, that's a really long time from, say, teenage years all the way to early 30s to just really not care, right? I did not care about my physical form. And in a lot of ways, I just wanted to get out of this body. And what I was doing was really a slow, ridiculous form of suicide, which I'm so glad I was not successful at. I mean, I wasn't trying to end my life intentionally or so intentionally, right? But everything that I was eating and drinking excessively, and the Cuban cigar certainly didn't help, and not exercising contributed to it all. So I hope that makes sense. And as humans, we're the only species on this planet who can't seem to figure out what to eat for lunch in terms of what would serve us the most, right? What would be the best thing to provide the fuel, to provide the nutrition to my cells, right? So that my body can heal itself, right? So I have the physical energy to be able to do everything on my to-do list and spend time with family and friends, beyond work. So, and get to the gym and work out on a consistent basis, right? It all takes fuel. And most people are consuming stuff that should not even be considered food, let alone fuel. It's such poor quality that it's really taking energy. It's robbing vital energy rather than providing. And that's all a food is supposed to do for us. It provides what ultimately becomes energy, the energy that fuels our organs and functions and systems, and the energy that fuels my body to be able to do everything that I choose to do this day. So if you're joining us since I started that rant there, and you have a question, please type something into the chat. So thank you again, Marty, for your awesome emojis. Thank you, Christiana, for your kind words. Steve P, welcome. Fern Wolf, awesome to see you. Thank you for the beautiful emojis. What a blessing, a gift. So Fern is the Canadian representative for Source Energy Medicine. She hosted our workshops when we did live workshops in Canada for years and years and years. She is an amazing source energy medicine practitioner. She does the non-material aspect of source energy medicine as well as master with our charging label technology. She's a wonderful resource for those who live in Canada. She's in the Greater Toronto area, Georgetown to be specific, and just a beautiful being, phenomenal practitioner, and what a joy to have you here with us today, Fern. Thank you for joining us, taking time out of your busy day, and thank you, Pam. Thank you for your kind words. I'm going to prepare for the group energy healing session. And if you're totally new to source energy medicine, I can't explain everything that you need to know about the energy healing in order for you to experience it. But I will mention a couple of important things. And there are videos on our YouTube channel. So when we're done here, you can just type into the search bar on YouTube or type into whatever search engine you use, source energy medicine and non-material, N-O-N, material, like material substance aspect, or source energy medicine and energy healing. It'll pop up. There are videos on our playlist that are on our YouTube channel. And within the free course in source energy medicine that I mentioned earlier, the quick start guide, there's a video in there where I talk about the non-material aspect of source energy medicine. The important things for you to know is there's no possibility of doing any harm or you experiencing anything dramatic or unsettling or cathartic or re-stimulating in terms of a past experience or trauma. Because, if you think about it, within source energy medicine, we're not fighting pathogens, we're not fighting dis-ease, we're not stirring up emotions that we then have to process in some way. We're simply transforming, balancing, and restoring. We're transforming slow energy to fast energy. And if I use the example of bacteria, we are simply transforming slow energy bacteria that would cause dis-ease like salmonella or botulism into a friendly bacteria, most of which have not been identified by science yet. But science does know that in a healthy human, we should have trillions, right? Many trillions of friendly bacteria. They're essential to our brain functioning. They're essential to every organ and function and system. Science doesn't know it yet, but science does know our brain and our gut, as well as, and so our gut begins in our mouth. So the key to having good, healthy teeth and gums is all rooted in having friendly bacteria. So within source energy medicine, the intention is to transform slow energy bacteria that would cause dis-ease into fast energy bacteria that would support your health and well-being, as well as digesting your food and processing your thoughts. So the work is phenomenally fast, and this particular group session that we're about to experience is focused primarily in one specific area, or a couple of different individual things that focus on one specific area, which is helping to keep you healthy during this pandemic. It's not a complete session. Like if Fern were to work one-on-one with a client, it's definitely not the replacement of that, right? It doesn't take the place of that. And yet it's everything that would be most critical to help to ensure your health and well-being during this health crisis. So on your end, even though it looks like I'm facilitating the session, that I'm in the role of the facilitator and you're in the role of the client or the recipient, it's really important for you to know that you are always healing yourself. And that's true even outside of source energy medicine. Even though there are people who call themselves quote unquote healers, I think that's a really inaccurate label. And I never refer to myself or any of our practitioners in those ways. And yet we facilitate that, right? We facilitate deep, profound, lasting transformation. But the healing comes from you. It always comes from the client. And I believe it is that part of you that is divine, that is source energy. And a lot of time, the work is to just transform everything that is blocking that source energy from being more present in your life, right? It's repressed in most people. It certainly was in me before source energy medicine, before 2005. And that's the reason why I had all of the challenges I had and had very, very little success in spite of the commitment that I had and the years and years and hundreds of thousands of dollars I invested in my healing journey. So, very often I look at it simply as resistance, right? It's resistance to the natural state of well-being that is constantly flowing to us and through us. So it's getting rid of it's transforming that, right? We don't get rid of things. We don't clear it out. We don't flush it out. We simply transform it, right? So a lot of that is within the subconscious realm, but not exclusively. And, even though you are healing yourself, that you are the one responsible for your journey, there's really nothing that you need to do on your end other than simply relax and allow and receive. No distractions, and get as comfortable physically as possible. And if that's not possible for you in this moment in time where you're hearing this, live or in replay, set some time aside where you can really honor the healing process. You can give yourself, this holiday season is all about giving. Allow yourself to receive this gift of healing, right? It'll enable you to then give more deeply and more fully, and not at the end of the day feel completely spent, and often leading to resentment for just feeling depleted from giving all day long. So allow yourself to receive this gift, these blessings, the miracles that are within this. It's important for you to know that there's no order of difficulty when it comes to miracles, as the teaching from A Course in Miracles so beautifully states. And the reason why is because it's that divine energy within you that is always responsible for the healing. So what's outside of the scope of potential or possibility? Nothing, right? If anything, there's a whole lot that's outside the scope of potential and possibility that you might not have considered. But from this perspective where it's not you who's healing yourself, it's not me who's doing the healing, responsible for the healing, it's not source energy medicine per se, it is that divine energy that is within you. So I hope that makes sense. And this is huge, and it ties back into the ownership and the responsibility thing, right? Take responsibility for that divine aspect within you. You didn't do anything to repress it or hide it or not have access to it. And that's why you're here today, right? That's what source energy medicine is. That's why you're curious about it, I would imagine, to a large degree. And the rest of it is all just like technical filling in. Einstein used to call it busy work, right? It's there, and it's just a matter of it catching up to us in most cases. So if you are in a place where it is comfortable and safe and appropriate, I invite you to get as comfortable as possible. A lot of people like to lie down and close their eyes if that is safe and comfortable and appropriate for them, right? If you're driving or flying an airplane, sitting in a hot tub, probably not the best place to experience this session, right? So if it's not safe or you don't feel comfortable closing your eyes, please don't. A really good option is to find a spot on the floor, on the ceiling, to gently focus your gaze upon and allow your gaze to soften. I turn my camera off when I do this work, so what I'm doing with my hands and facilitating this is not distracting to you. And there will be some chanting music playing in the background just so that everyone knows that we're still broadcasting, that stuff is going on. And as I mentioned, it'll be about 5 minutes or so, and then I'll come back and check the chat, see if there's any questions that have come in from the last time I checked, or just in these last few minutes. So I hope that makes sense, and then we will wrap up our time together today. So I'm going to go ahead and get everything set technically on my end, and I invite you to get as comfortable as possible and simply allow. Trust in the divine orchestration, the synchronicities, how many things are responsible for you being here today, listening to this empowering, inspiring, self-healing information. Trust that to the source of all creation, there is nothing that is outside of the scope of potential or possibility. And deep, profound healing, long-lasting healing can happen instantaneously. And when it does not, it doesn't mean that the answer to your prayers has not been heard, but that it is unfolding for you at a slower pace, more often than not, to enable you to adjust gently and gracefully and beautifully to the transformation, balance, and restoration, so that you're able to acclimate and make changes in every way that you'll need to make changes as healing continues to unfold for you. All too often we focus on the part of healing that's missing or that has not fully been experienced, and that helps to ensure that parts will be missing, that there will be something lacking, that there will always be more work to do. Rather, the wise person focuses on the smallest micro wins, the smallest improvement, even if it's just feeling better emotionally or mentally, in spite of perhaps severe physical pain or some sort of physical challenge that is really impairing your ability to move with grace and ease. If you look hard enough, deep enough, you can find something that is a positive sign that you are making progress. Even just the fact that you woke up this morning is a miracle in itself. So I simply invite you to allow and receive this session in every way that you possibly can. And while I will focus my attention and intention on the key areas to help to keep you well during this pandemic, I invite you to choose one goal or one challenge that you would like to focus on today, something that you would like to receive, something you would like to experience. And again, there's no order of difficulty when it comes to miracles. You don't have to start with something small. So choose the one, if you have challenges, choose the one challenging that is the most pressing, that's the most urgent, that leads to the greatest sense of unease and concern for you, and choose that. And as soon as you have that in your awareness, I encourage you to see that challenge through the eyes of the source of all creation. Very, very different perspective than mortal perspective, from your perspective. In spite of what professionals might have told you or lab results might have revealed, to the source of all creation, there is nothing that is outside of the scope of potential or possibility. And yes, part of it is you believing that to be true, knowing it to be true, and trusting in that, having faith in that. The source of all creation, when he thinks of you, which is constantly and without end, the source of all creation sees you, I believe, as being whole and perfect and complete, innocent, pure, precious, unique, and genius in so many ways. The source of all creation created your soul out of love. And the source of all creation blessed your birth parents with your soul to bring a beautiful human into this earth plane with a very, very, very specific mission, a very, very specific purpose that no one else on this planet can fulfill. This is your birthright. And I believe that every form of dis-ease or lack or limitation that we could ever experience in life is human created, not divinely created. It's not punishment, it's not karma, it's not retribution. And there certainly may be things in your life that you feel remorse about, and wherever possible, making amends is always strongly advised, unless making amends, apologizing, or doing any kind of forgiveness practice would cause more harm, then of course it's not advised. But the other, if you have betrayed someone or hurt someone deeply or stole from them or manipulated them, coerced them, lied to them, energetically they don't even have to know about your apology, although oftentimes, as long as it's not going to create further damage, extending that apology, making amends, accepting responsibility for my shortcomings, my character flaws, my character defects, moments of temporary poor choice making. And know that even in my darkest moment, even in your darkest moment, the source of all creation loved you, loved me through all of it, and is always, always, always rooting for you, cheering for you, encouraging you, calling you forward to step into that greatness that the source of all creation created you to be. Step into your true power. Step into the greatness that you were created to be, and be that light in your life, for your family, for your friends, for your neighbors and community. Never before has there been a greater time for you to step into your true power and bring your gifts and share them. Share your love, your unique version of love, with others. Now is the time that you have been waiting for. Continue to breathe comfortably. Continue to allow and continue to receive these blessings, these miracles, these gifts. I invite you to take a nice deep breath and simply continue to allow, continue to receive. And please know that even though this work was a very, very, very short amount of linear time, the blessings and the gifts and the miracles will continue to unfold for you for hours to come. Whether you're watching this live or in replay, there is equal opportunity, right? There's equal potential. And there's a huge benefit to watching either this replay or the replay from any of the SEM Mondays. You just fast forward, jump through to the end part where the session begins and experience that. I've heard from numerous people in our community that they're doing that once or twice or 3 times a day as part of their daily practice of wellness, of taking care of themselves, of loving themselves, of continuing to heal themselves. And of all of the people I know who have been doing that, they've all managed to stay not only well, but thriving during this crisis. So thank you, Trish, for your kind words. It's awesome to have you with us. And Ada, thank you. A joy to have you join us. Joycelyn and Fern. Fern shares, I'm so grateful to you, Stephen. Fern, I hope you know how much I appreciate everything that you do to support me, to support Source Energy Medicine, and that has been going on for so many years. You are one of the greatest blessings in my life, my friend, and such a joy to have you connect here with us. Thank you, Maria B., for your kind words. And Chuck, awesome to have you here with us. Chuck says, wow, this is awesome. Should come here more often. Thank you, Stephen. Thank you, Chuck. This is awesome. So, and thank you, Elizabeth, for your kind words. Elizabeth says, thank you, Stephen, for this healing. Blessings to you and your family. It's very, very kind of you. Thank you. And, I often describe myself as being one of the most fortunate men on this planet, and having the opportunity to be able to share Source Energy Medicine with even one person is such a gift for me, right? It makes all of the, even just to do this every Monday, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes. And, we start getting this rolling hours before we're actually here. And I love that we chose to extend this format, right, to be able to have this group energy healing session every week, because it takes so much work, right, to get this up and off the ground and to do it consistently, to be able to do it at, a level that I'm comfortable with, professionally speaking. So it's it's a joy. I'm so grateful to YouTube, in spite of the shortcomings of the platform, both on your side, but mostly on my side of things. It's amazing. We're all in the comfort and safety of our own home or our own office, and we're able to have a little bit of a respite here in the middle of our day, and carve out that time to continue to heal ourselves, to love ourselves, to honor the healing journey, and truly honor the gift that you are. So I am super grateful to have this opportunity to connect with you. And I'm just going to check the chat and see if there are any questions before I go ahead and wrap up for today. I don't see anything. Thank you, Teresa, for your kind words. It's awesome to have you with us. So if you're watching this in replay for some reason and you have questions, you can always leave them in the comments below the player. I do my best to answer as many questions as possible. Certainly subscribing to our YouTube channel is a great way that I continue to support you. And if you click that awesome little bell icon, that notification icon, YouTube will let you know when I am live next, or when I upload a new nugget of Source Energy Medicine wisdom video. Again, if you're totally new to Source Energy Medicine, the quick start guide that's in the show notes below this player is essential to your journey. It's free, and it is literally the only way you can access our charging labels. Certainly you can buy a pre-printed set of charging label or a pre-printed book, but it's the way that 99% of people are accessing Source Energy Medicine today. It's a tremendous resource. So thank you, Pam and Bill, for your kind words. They say, wow, with an exclamation. That was amazing. So gentle and healing. You're such a blessing. You, my friend, I so appreciate your kind words, and I do indeed accept them humbly and graciously. But You are the blessing. Each of you are the blessing. You are the gift. And, without you, Source Energy Medicine it'd be frustrating, right? Because I'd have this gift and no one to share it with, or it'd be like having the most amazing toy as a child and no one to play with. So I so appreciate you showing up for your curiosity about Source Energy Medicine. I always say the worst thing that can happen is nothing. And if you stick with it, nothing doesn't happen. Something positive happens. And if it doesn't, it's just figuring out like what's missing, right? What's the part that I'm not understanding or not utilizing or haven't gotten to yet? So, one of the things that is the saddest to me is when I receive an email from someone who says, I started Source Energy Medicine, and sometimes it was 10 years ago, and for some reason they stopped. And now, like for me, the sad part is their challenges are often much worse than they were. And if they only stuck to it, right? You never know how close you are to success unless you continue, right? Unless you take that next step. And that's why I created SEM Mondays, so that you're not alone on this journey, right? When I was trying to figure out how to heal myself, I certainly had amazing practitioners and amazing facilitators. But to a large degree, I was by myself on it, and I never want that for you. So between SEM Mondays and our online workshops and our online communities, if you're intrigued by the energy healing that you experience, the non-material aspect of Source Energy Medicine, I teach that. I teach that online. All of our courses are only available online now, and I likely will not ever go back to offering live events. That'll be teaching workshops. We'll do live events that'll be retreats, right? That'll be gatherings of our communities. But I will not go back to doing live events, mostly because what I'm able to do in an online course is far more than I could do. Even if we spent 7 days together, I can't deliver what I'm able to deliver in an online course, because in an online course you get to go completely at your own pace. You start and stop when you want to. So and it's hard for me because leading live events, especially the ones that Fern put on, were such a joy for me and just like fed my soul in ways that hard to describe. So, I'm grateful that we made the transition to doing everything online long before COVID came around, because if we hadn't, Source Energy Medicine would likely no longer exist, just because that was a primary source of revenue for us, right? We give away some of our greatest assets, and we have to have a way of monetizing, right? I hope that makes sense. So, thank you, Marty. Marty says, I don't want to miss one SEM Mondays. That's awesome, Marty, and thank you for the beautiful emojis. Thank you, Delilah. Very kind of you. So, my friends, until we are here again, I apologize for not knowing my calendar off the top of my head, but next Monday, and I believe it's the Monday after that, we will not be here live, but check your email, stay connected, look for announcements. Again, if you click that cool bell icon, you don't have to even worry about checking your email. YouTube will let you know when I am here live again. So thank you, Teresa. Teresa says, loved Fern's events. Me too. Of all of the workshops that I did since 2005, the ones that stand out the most in my mind are the ones I did with Fern, and we did them all around Ontario, right? Not just in the Toronto area. Thank you, Krista. Krista says the workshops are amazing in all caps and well worth the investment, with an awesome smiley face emoji. Thank you, Krista. I really appreciate the kind support. Well, my friends, between now and when we are here together again live, absolutely take massive advantage of the replays, right? Once or twice a day, you deserve it, right? Carve out the 10 or 15 minutes, use it as part of maybe your meditation practice, use it as a way of continuing to be able to help you to heal yourself. So, as always, I wish you continued blessings on your journey with Source Energy Medicine. Until we are here again live, bye for now.